and welcome back to the Tea and Soju C-Drama podcast, your safe spot for C-Drama chatter. I'm your host, Liliana, and it's time to sit back, grab your tea, and let's chat Asian dramas. In today's episode, we are going back to the guest series, and I'm very, very excited because not only do we have a very special guest on, her name is Cici, and I will get her to introduce herself in just a bit. But also, we will be talking about something that we often see, but we may not know what they are, and that is Chinese festivals. So, just some housekeeping before we get into the podcast episode. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on the platform you listen to. That really helps the podcast to reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, movie reviews, and more. Finally, if you would like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. The link for all the socials for myself and Cece for her TikTok will also be in the description box below. So, today we're talking about Chinese festivals, and just before that, let's introduce our guest. So, Cece, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Cici, and my TikTok is Cici Love Cheese. I was born and raised in Beijing, China, and I was mainly grew up with my grandparents. So we follow by a really traditional Chinese calendar, and I've been celebrate all those Chinese festivals since I was kid. I mainly talk about Chinese culture in my TikTok, like Chinese traditions, festival, C-pop, manhua, donghua, and also danmei novel as well. I'm very proud of my culture and heritage, and I'm very excited to join this episode and talk more about Chinese festival.
Yes, so I was just saying a listener reached out and they wanted to know more about Chinese festivals. And it's something that I wanted to know because I watch a lot of Chinese dramas at this point. I've been watching them now for 5 years. And I think you pick up on certain things, but I think it's also important to learn some of the culture that comes with the, media that you're consuming. So I think episodes like this are some of my favorite to record because I get to learn a lot as well. And that's always very, very exciting. So I'm very excited to do this. Thank you so much for coming on, Cece. And we do have some initial questions. So, we're going to go into that. You've already said, you watch anime and do all of those things, but do you still watch Chinese dramas? Because you currently live in the States, don't you?
Yes, I still watch Chinese drama. It's one of my guilty pleasure. Yeah. I think I think a lot of people find out that Chinese drama may be a little bit cheesy sometimes, but we just cannot help it, but want to watch more.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, but this actually might be something of a question. I think that's the some people will have that misconception that, Chinese dramas can be very cheesy. But I think there's really good ones out there as well that, they do really, really well. There's been some really good crime dramas. And personally, I don't think anybody does a historical quite like China. I think historical dramas is something that China does very well as well. So I this is actually something I wanted to discuss because I think you will have a very, very different opinion and a very different outlook to somebody who's an international fan. What is, your experience growing up watching Chinese dramas? Was it something that you would watch with your family, or was it something that you would watch by yourself? What's that experience for you like?
So my grandparents love historical Chinese drama, and I grew up watching the C dramas with my parents.
Hmm.
However, back in the time, like the late 90s, early 2000s, the C drama is very different than the C drama we watch right now. Um, and I mostly when I grew up, I mostly watch historical one because my grandparents love those. For
Mm.
example, one of my favorite one is 考西游记 in Chinese, which is Journey to the West, which is where the famous Sun Wukong come from.
I really want to watch that drama, but it's really hard to find older Chinese dramas with English subtitles. So, yeah, that one is on my list to watch one day, hopefully.
Yes, it's really long, and we have so many different versions of this one because that one is a classic. I highly recommend watching that one. I love that. And actually, it might surprise a lot of people, but in the late 90s and 2000, we already have some historical crime C-drama. One of my favorite one is called 少年包青天. I think the English term is called The Legend of Young Justice Bao. They recently just do
Hmm.
a new one recently, so then like reboot it. I
Yeah.
think the new reboot just come out recently, but I still prefer the oldest one because the oldest one is
Mm.
more scary than the new one.
Yeah. Um, I can see that. I do know this is for, and I'm gonna butcher it, so please correct my pronunciation. But I have a friend, and she's originally from Hong Kong, and she grew up watching a lot of wuxia dramas,
Yes.
and she has always said that like 90s, early 2000s wuxia was really, really good compared to now that it's not as good as it used to be. So I'm always curious to try and watch like older dramas. I've started this year to watch more of the older ones that I can find, because some of them are quite hard to find. I'm currently watching Nirvana in Fire, which is I think it has quite a high it well, it was quite popular.
Mm.
Even abroad, it's quite of a popular one. And it's like I'm watching it and it is such to keep up with it. It's a little bit difficult sometimes, but it's so good to watch all of these like more experienced actors do their thing in a sense. So I've really, really been enjoying that for sure. Um
Yeah, yes, I still prefer the older version. I think because older version back in the time we don't have CG, so a lot of things have to
mm,
be done manually. It gave you this really like nostalgia and real feeling when you watch the show.
hmm. That's exactly, I've spoken to a couple of people, and that's exactly kind of like along those lines what they say, that even because there was no CGI, they still made it work and they still made it look good despite there being no CGI. So I think that's really, really exciting. So, I think we just touched on it, but what was some of your favorite Chinese dramas when you were growing up?
So one of my favorite is 西游记 Journey to the West. That's the classic. And I also really like a series of C-drama, which I think you might able to find the resource with English subtitle. So this one in Chinese we call it 仙剑奇侠传. The English
Hmm.
name is Chinese Paladin. I think a
Oh
lot,
yeah,
yeah, a
yeah,
lot of people should be know that there are so many series for that one. You have the
yeah.
game, you have the uh C drama, and it's very popular. It's a big IP.
I really want to watch the original because they recently did two. I think it goes along the same lines. I think they were released fairly recently. I think it was Chinese Paladin 4 and 6, I believe, or
Mhm.
something along those lines. I didn't necessarily like those, but I have heard that the original, like the very original one, was really, really good. And I think it is available internationally. So it is on my plan to watch because I've heard many people say very good things about it. So I definitely want to check that one out. Because I heard that one is really big. Is it like as big in China as we think it is like internationally?
So 仙剑奇侠, so you do know MXTS, right? You do if you, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so Chinese Paladin is like 魔道祖师 MDZZ in the early 2000s. It is
yeah.
very
Okay.
big. Yeah,
Okay,
very big.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Big then. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you also have the game and you have the TV show. So a lot of people will watch the drama and so will also buy the game. So have multiple series. My favorite is the number three, the 仙剑奇侠传3, which the Yang Mi plays in the one. Yeah,
Okay.
I love that
Yeah.
one.
Okay, I've written it down. I've written it down. So I am quite excited to check those out. Because actually I did an episode a little while back and it was so we had I don't know if you're familiar with the app, My Drama List.
Mhm.
Um so we basically, I use My Drama List quite a lot. But I think the equivalent in China is people use, is it Douban? Or how do you say it? Can you say it?
豆瓣.
Yeah. So
Yes,
they
豆瓣.
use it Douban. They use it
Mhm.
a lot. And they obviously they released their top 10 dramas for Chinese dramas for 2023, so for last year. And I looked at that list and like looked at the top dramas internationally, and it was fascinating to see because it is like night and day. The lists barely overlap, and I think it's, to me, I'm always fascinated to see what's what really resonates in back in China in terms of dramas, because some of the ones that were in the top spots, they we didn't even know about them internationally. So that's always really interesting for me to sort of hear and learn about, I think. Um, so yeah. But speaking of which, I had a question here. What are some of your favorite Chinese dramas that are more recent?
Well, I have my guilty pleasure. I the popular the Intimate. I really like Intimate, the 陈情令.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm also currently really on hook with a C drama called 长安12时辰, which is called the longest day in Chang'an.
I have a
Oh,
friend who has watched it and she loves it.
oh,
Loves
really?
it.
No spoiler. I'm still watching it.
No,
I'm
no,
only.
no spoilers here from me. Um, I have heard very, very good things about that one as well. I've heard that it's, one of those that once you sink your teeth into, you can really, really. I think sometimes what it is, for me, it doesn't bother me, but with dramas like that, I think it can be a little bit intimidating
Mhm,
to some international viewers because they tend to be longer dramas.
mhm, mhm.
But but I just think, guys, before you discovered Asian dramas, Chinese dramas, K dramas, whatever it may be, you were watching American dramas and they have like multiple seasons and a lot of episodes. So once you think about it, it's probably not that bad. um I think for me personally, it doesn't bother me because my first Chinese drama that I watched was 63 episodes. So now I'm just like, it doesn't bother me that it's a long drama. It doesn't bother me. It's fine. So yeah, that one is always quite interesting. So I had a question here. Do you because I don't know, because like I think as an international fan it's hard for us to tell, but is it like, do people in China, or just you in general, do you like no have noticed that Chinese dramas have become way more popular internationally nowadays?
Yes, I definitely much more aware because a lot of people really interesting and fall in love with the historical C-drama, which lead them to feel really interesting about the Chinese traditional clothing, Hanfu. I thought a lot of non-Chinese people who starting to wear hanfu, and I feel so proud about it, because
Mm.
it is one of our culture, which I personally feel really happy to see more people are embracing it and want to try it and learn more about it.
It's so beautiful. Like I squeal every time. That it is honestly one of my favorite things to watch in a historical drama is just the clothing because it's so beautiful. And I think some of it is so detailed, so intricate that, I almost feel like the camera almost doesn't do it justice. But when you have a really good director that does and pays attention, I get so excited because I love watching it. I always love watching a good wedding scene in a historical drama because it's so elaborate. It's so unlike anything we have in the West. That I'm just mesmerized watching it. I just think, it's very, very beautiful to see. And actually, what you've said is quite a nice thing because I think so for me personally, whenever I talk about a Chinese drama or, I try and do my research and learn the things that I need to learn, but I always worry that, you can get something wrong or you can, when you're dealing with somebody else's culture, it's always like a little bit worrying that you're gonna do something wrong almost. But I think even I think for me personally, because I'm originally from Portugal, but I live in the UK, and whenever people just ask questions about my culture, I just get excited. And I if people want to try something, I just get excited about that. So I think it's reciprocal in other cultures as well, that people just get excited that other people want to learn about their culture. So yeah.
Yeah. To be honestly, I don't know about any other Chinese people, but when I watch the wedding scene from the historical C-drama, it's always like a fantasy to me because in real life, if you want to have a traditional Chinese wedding, it is very expensive. It's much more
Mm,
expensive than the Western wedding ceremony. So
hmm
like not a lot of people can afford to have a Chinese
mm.
wedding. So that's also one reason why I love watching the wedding scene in C drama because I know I cannot afford it now, but I love to see how it happens.
Yeah, at least we get to see it and live vicariously through those scenes almost. Um, but yeah, I think it's just beautiful. And I think like historical dramas tend to be what draws in the big crowds internationally. Apart from last year, we had that just exploded, and that was Hidden Love.
Yeah,
That one
yes,
just it was everywhere. That drama was
I know.
every out of the blue, everybody just started watching it, and people who wouldn't even watch Chinese dramas before were showing up on like my TikTok and on my wherever, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm watching this Chinese drama," and I'm like, "Where is this all coming from? This is bonkers," but in a good way, because it kind of leads other people to you know, because I think for us as international fans, we need dramas to be at least subbed and subbed well. That's the only two things we tend to ask for. Um, if there is more people wanting to watch them, then they tend to get subbed. We've been very, very lucky because I think with platforms like Tencent and iQIYI, they tend to, sub everything for us. So it tends to work out pretty well. Yoku now also has international platform, which it didn't have until about, I think, 2 years ago. Um, so it's become a lot easier. a lot easier for us. Um, I'm guessing it's even easier for you because you don't need any of these subs or anything like that. So
It, to be honestly, it might surprise people, but in China, all the C drama will have
really,
subtitle. Yes, so I was one of the culture shock when I come to United States is I'm so surprised that the movies, the C drama, you don't automatically have the subtitle. Because in China, even though we understand Chinese, you will still have Chinese subtitle in all the TV show and sometimes even the reality show. Basically, all the program will have subtitle. So yeah, so that was something new for me. Um, and also one good thing, if you really like Hidden Love, it's actually from a novel. It's
yeah,
so
I
yeah.
really want to get my hands on the novel.
Yeah,
So
because
that is that is one thing that I will say is incredibly hard to get a hold of is China knows how to do merchandise really, really well for their dramas and their novels. And I have been reading the Hidden Love novel, but like online, fan translated, because there isn't like an official translation. But I want to get to a point where one day they will have like the beautiful covers because Chinese books have really beautiful
mm,
covers, really stunning covers. And I have actually bought some, even though I'm working towards it because I am trying to learn Mandarin. It's going to be a lifelong goal at this point. Um, but I have bought some of the books just because I love the covers so much and I think they're just beautiful. But yeah.
one day you will get it.
Mm. Yeah, so it is I was just saying it is one of those things where I love to get merch from like some of the dramas. I have like these dolls here. You guys at home won't be seeing
Hmm.
this, but I have these which are like, till the end of the moon ones, and I do actually have some of the Untamed stuff as well. I have a lot of the Untamed pins because those are easy to sort of get. um, but yeah, it's one of those things that you look because I follow some other creators and you look and they still live in China and you look and it's so easy for them to buy this.
Yes,
And
Taobao.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You just, you log in, you get it. Um, but yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to grab things abroad. I think you actually made a video about this, and I'm sorry if it wasn't you, but I think it was where you talked about Chinese makeup and how it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but it's quite expensive to like have it shipped over to the States.
Ah, yeah, yeah, it was me. So because the regulation, if you just want to buy books and clothes, that's easy to ship from China to United States.
Mhm.
But makeup, you like foundation, cushion pattern, lipstick, even eyeliner, mascara, it considered like liquid. So if it considered liquid, it will consider as sensitive package. So it might take more time
Mhm.
to cross the custom border. But I highly recommend if you just want to buy non-liquid merchandise like book, toys, cosplay clothes, handful, Taobao is your best choice. They did it so well. They even have like if you know Chinese, because I know Chinese and sometimes when I want to buy something from Taobao, they have all down. You can ship it to their warehouse and they will pack it for you and ship it to you. You do not need to
Mhm.
worry
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah. Um, I have ventured onto Taobao to go on like I will have it on open on my Google or whatever it may be, and then like it just auto translates like the page for me, and then sometimes it works okay, and sometimes it's like a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle to try and figure out. But it ends up being worth it for sure. Um, So yeah, I think yeah. Right. Should we do some festival talk? Because we'll get into that part of the episode now. So I don't like I was saying, I don't know anything about I know a couple of things about some of the festivals, but
Mhm.
overall I don't know a lot about them. And you actually suggested that we would start with the Chinese calendar, which I think, is quite a good place to start. So I'll hand over the reins to you to go over that.
Well, yes. So basically, all the Chinese festival or the traditional Chinese festival are based on the Chinese calendar 农历. That is our like farming calendar back in the ancient China. People use it to track time and which make the farming more efficiency and
Mm-hmm.
productive. So they also create many festival come with it, for example. And if you're familiar with Chinese festival, you will know that we don't have a fixed date in normal calendar because we don't have a fixed date in the Chinese
Mm-hmm.
calendar. But when you transfer the Chinese calendar date to the normal calendar date, it will shift year by year.
Mm.
It's
Mm-mm.
because the way how they create and calculate the Chinese calendar. So I remember a lot of my friends were really surprised that the Chinese New Year or Mid-Autumn Festival, they are not same every year. We have to track them. Yes, but but nevertheless, Chinese calendar only is the starting point where all the like most festival come from.
Mm. Yeah, I knew there was a Chinese calendar, but I didn't know that that was like, how they started to for farming and things like that, which would make sense because you would want to track when it was best to plant what and to make sure you got the most out of it. So it absolutely makes sense. That's kind of like where it comes from. I think this is also one of the things that fascinates me so much about China and Chinese history and just, it has so much history. It has, and like pretty detailed, well-kept history as well. So I think it's fascinating to have that much to sort of like learn from. Um, so yeah, so you sort of mentioned it a little bit. So should we start with Chinese New Year? Because that does move. So just what obviously it's a Chinese New Year. I think it's a little bit self-explanatory, but let's just, go into it and what are some of the things that you do for Chinese New Year and things like that?
So in my family, the Chinese New Year actually start way before the actual New Year's. So like a couple weeks before Chinese New Year, we have a festival called 腊八 Festival,
Mm-hmm.
which is the day you will drink 腊八 porridge and you will pickle a jar of 腊八蒜. So 腊八 Festival is like the start of the preparation for Chinese New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Since 腊八 Festival to Chinese New Year Eve, you will start all the preparation, like you will buy all the meat, you will prepare all the dishes to make sure that you are ready for Chinese New Year. And in my family, we will pickle the garlic in 腊八 Festival, and it will be ready on the Chinese New Year Eve when we eat
Oh.
dumpling. When we eat dumpling by the midnight. And
Yeah.
yeah, so the celebration and traditional kind of lasting a month. So you starting at 腊八 Festival, which is usually like the uh 8 days of 12 months in the Chinese calendar, and it will continue in the next year's the first month of the 15 days in the Chinese
Yeah.
calendar. So usually the
Mm-hmm.
celebration and the preparation will last about a year. That's how my
Goodness.
yes, that's how my grandparents like to celebrate because that's
Yeah.
something passing down in my family, like the traditional
Mm-hmm.
just passing down from family generation by generation. And because I'm from the northern part of China, and we will have a really big celebration dinner, which we call 年夜饭, on the Chinese New Year Eve. So everybody will get
Hmm.
in together. We will have a big meal, and you have to have a lot of dishes. You have to have a pork, you have to have a chicken, and a fish and you have to have a whole fish. And you cannot finish the fish. You have to live a little bit, which means you will have some splurge to the next year. So you have money and in the next year.
Ah, okay, okay. See,
And
I quite like these little stories because I know every family will do it slightly different, I'm assuming. So yeah, I did quite like to listen to these.
yes, and in my family, we will make 饺子, aka dumpling, after we
Hmm.
finish our Chinese New Year Eve dinner. So, and we will make it from scratch. Like we will make the dumpling from scratch, and we will make the filling from scratch, and it will take really long time to make it, at least a couple hours. And
I bet that seems like a lot of, a lot of work, but I bet it's worth it in the end. It's kind of like one of those things that it's worth it in the end.
yes, and some people don't like it, but in my family, we will hide some special things in the dumpling. Sometimes it can be a coin, which means money, and sometimes can be a date, which means children. Yeah,
Mm.
so we will only put like maybe a couple of them in all of the dumpling, and whoever eat them will have good luck. If you have the one with the coin, which means you're gonna have a lot of money
Hmm.
next
Hmm.
year, and
So I bet
and
everybody's looking for the one with the coin.
yes. Yes, the coin. And for the date one, if you are single and you had the one with the date, which means you probably will get married next year. Well, you are have a really good relationship.
Yeah.
And if you are already married and you have a date, which means you will probably have child. You will have kids.
Oh, I love this. I love this. I love traditions like this. And I think it's, quite important to sort of keep them alive and passing them on. I think it's, such a good thing to have because culture is like so important to each person individually, I think. So yeah, I thank you for sharing those. I love that you guys do that little, find not find, but hopefully the right dumpling will come to you.
Yes, I love the experience, and I really miss it a lot because I feel like I live in United States for a while, didn't have a really great celebration in United States as well. But for some reason, I just feel like it's not the same as we have in China, because in China it's like the grand of the grand. It's like
Mhm.
Christmas in United States, like
Yeah.
that's Chinese New Year in China. The celebration, like the decoration, will start way before the Chinese New Year actually come,
Mhm. 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 I
and it
bet.
will,
And
yeah.
I
And
think it's never quite the same, is it? Like just being home in that atmosphere, it's never quite the same. Even if it's celebrated elsewhere, it's never quite the same as being home, I think.
yes, but I love it. I really miss it, and I would recommend if anybody who truly want to experience the Chinese authentic New Year celebration, visit China during Chinese New Year. But just be prepared, it will be so crowded. Like everybody, because we have a week day off for Chinese New Year, and everybody gonna go back home. Everybody's traveling.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think it is one of those things that it must be quite the experience to sort of have, but I bet it might be almost a little bit stressful to sort of navigate it all.
Yes.
Uh,
Mm,
so yes, what else were you gonna say?
no, no, no. Continue. Sorry.
Right, so that's Chinese New Year. what we've got next up, we've got Lantern Festival. So would you like to tell us a little bit about Lantern Festival?
Lantern Festival. So, according to my grandma, Lantern Festival is one of the most romantic festival in ancient China. Because
Mm-hmm.
back in ancient China, and if you watch historical C-drama, you probably will see it. Young girls usually are not allowed to go outside freely. Then
Mm-hmm.
usually will be asked to stay at home, or even though on rare occasions can go outside, they have to be accompanied by their maid or a chaperone
Mm-hmm.
to follow them. So then don't have the freedom to just go outside and play. However, Lantern Festival was a national like big festival back in ancient China. Sometimes the festival will the celebration will last weeks, even sometimes
Really?
10 days back in the time.
Mm-hmm.
And during the festivity and the celebration, young girls are allowed to go outside and enjoy
Oh,
all the celebration, like the
yeah.
carnival, the games, and it will be perfect time for them to meet somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Was gonna say this is such a typical scene that we often see in dramas, and one big one that makes the rounds everywhere, and people who have watched it will know straight away is, I think, Love Like the Galaxy. They have a beautiful lantern scene,
yes.
um, but it is one of my favorite things to watch whenever they do it because you just have like all of these lanterns. It's just beautiful. So I can see why your grandma would say it's one of the most romantic, holidays or festivals because I would definitely agree. It's like it's beautiful. It truly is. And it just has that kind of like almost magical feel to it. It feels just beautiful to see. Yeah.
And yeah, back in Lantern Festival, they also have this game. Then we'll put games on the lanterns and you're gonna guess it. So sometimes back in ancient China, when people want to show love to each other, but then don't want to all the, to tell the entire world, then we'll write like a hidden game and write it on a lantern and
Mm.
probably give it to each other to show their
Mm-hmm.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in ancient time, everything is traditional. You are not supposed to say, "Oh, I love you so much,"
Yeah,
but in the
yeah.
public, it's hidden. You have to show it really, really hidden. Like everything can be a like your love language, like a lantern, maybe a fan, a little bit package, flower package. Everything is can represent love, which I think is just so romantic. And in and Lantern Festival is just one of the it would consider one of the Valentine back in ancient China because it's more
Mm-hmm.
romantic than the official Valentine, which is Qixi, since it doesn't have a really sad story. It's purely just a lot of light, celebration, firework.
Mm-hmm. How is it celebrated in China nowadays?
So for Lantern Festival right now, many different cities will have lantern show. It's really pretty during the night, and I would highly suggest if you ever been to China during Lantern Festival, visit Xi'an because they have this amazing town place. Then will create like Tang Dynasty, and then we'll have this beautiful lantern show at night. It looks like you're just come back, you're time traveling back to Tang Dynasty.
Oh, that sounds
And
like heaven.
yes, it's really romantic. And one of the most traditional we have is to eat yuan xiao, which
Mhm.
is rice ball with a filling inside of it.
I love
And
them. I
yes,
absolutely love them.
yuan xiao. Yes, in Chinese we call Lantern Festival Yuan Xiao Jie, which literally has the food of the name inside of it. And it also varies by region. So, for example, in Beijing, the northern part of China, we don't. make yuan xiao like dumpling. We roll it in a pound of rice flour. So it's a
Okay.
little bit bigger, but in the
Mm-hmm.
southern part, because their weather are not cold enough, so they usually can make the dough like a wrapper and then wrap it
Mm-hmm.
like a dumpling to make it into a bowl.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
and yes, and the flavor is also different. I like sweet one, but there's actually three different type of yuan xiao or tang yuan. You can have the savory one, you can have the sweet one, or you have the plain one without any filling, and you put it into a soup, whether the soup is
Mhm.
savory or sweet, depending on your choice.
I like the sweet ones. I'm a
I
fan of
like
the
sweet.
sweet one.
I like the sweet
And
one as well.
friend of mine, the very first time I bought it at my local Asian supermarket. And half the time, I don't know what I'm buying. I like going in and just looking at things. And I just like nowadays, I know more like what I get and what I like and what it is for that I cook for with it. But back then, when I first sort of went in, I had no idea what it was. And I brought it home. I sent a picture of it to my friend, and she's from China. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, no, these are really nice." And she kind of explained it to me. And she said, if they're the sweet ones, which they were, make a little sort of brown sugar water, brown sugar, and ginger kind of like soup to go with them. Trust me, you won't regret it. And to this day, that is still how I eat them. And I just love eating these. Did you try them fried? Is it because that seems to
I
be the
did.
new trend? How
Yes.
that it looks scary to me to fry them.
Always, it is. It's been a trend in China for a couple of years. I remember
Okay.
someone who tried to fry tang yuan in 2021, I think. It was
Mm-hmm.
already a trend back then. And it went so bad. Like it went so bad, it explodes. They have to call the ambulance and
Goodness.
and the fire department because it explode. And the thing is, even though the tang yuan is explode in the oil pan, the the person who cook it is still filming it like he's like ah! And he upload it on the Douyin. It was so fun to watch.
Oh my
Yeah, it
goodness.
made it on the news. I remember it made it
Really?
on the news. Yeah, because it was so funny. It's dangerous, but it's
Mm,
also so funny.
yeah, I've seen it and I was like, this would be really interesting, but I'm a little bit scared of doing it. Also, I don't I don't want to waste these are one of my favorite things to eat. I don't want
Mhm.
to waste any of it. I This is absolutely one of those things that you will always find in my freezer. They are always in my freezer. Um, because it's just one of those that I adore eating because they're sweet, but they're not too sweet. So I feel like they're just, a little nice bowl of, I don't know. I just really, really like eating those.
I like
Um,
to.
mm, they are absolutely what's your favorite flavor?
I like the red bean one.
Oh, I do
Yeah,
like the red bean one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I like the red.
My partner is not a fan of the red bean, but he does like we found some that have peanuts on the inside
Hmm.
and he really likes those. But I do like the red bean one. The red bean one is nice. But I
And
like anything that has red bean in it.
and blood sesame as well. Yeah,
Mm,
back in China, all the sweet things also have this romantic meaning because red beans means love actually in China. We call it 红豆 in Chinese. It actually
mm-hmm,
was represented as love. So if you fancy anybody, you will make them pastry with red bean in it, which means
mm-hmm.
you miss them. And the peanut one actually is very funny because peanuts and date means wish you have more babies. So
Oh, really?
yes, because peanuts and they yeah, peanuts and dates usually back in ancient China when you married, people will put a lot of raw peanuts, like when they're
Yes,
still
on
in
the
the
bed.
shell,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
the date in your bed because it means wish you to have a lot of baby.
See, this is why I love chatting to somebody who is of the culture and who was born there, because this is stuff that us as international viewers just, kind of goes over our heads whenever we watch something, because we obviously don't know the context that it's coming in. So I love learning these little nuggets, and now, next time that I watch a historical drama and one of the scenes comes up, I will know what the dates and the peanuts mean. So, you know. Right. So that's Lantern Festival. Next up, we have the Dragon Boat Festival. This is one I don't think I know about.
Yes, so Dragon Ball Festival in Chinese we call it 端午. It's actually one of the we have four big festival in China. It's one of
Mhm.
the four big Chinese festival in China. Uh, because because it's actually meaning appointance back in ancient China whose name called Qu Yuan. So
Mhm.
he actually killed himself. He drowned himself in the river. So this festival is meant to remember him.
Okay.
That and the funny thing is how I learned it is because we actually teach each other on in school. So when I was in elementary school,
Mhm.
we have Chinese like in the Chinese class, we have a small contents to introduce us what is 端午 Festival or Dragon Ball Festival, and we will said, okay, this festival is mean for 屈原, and we're gonna yes, we're gonna remember it, and
Mhm.
now it just become a day which Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball is one of the biggest feature for that and is really popular in the southern part of China. And
Okay.
when I say popular, I mean popular. Like you cannot imagine the competitions they have for Dragon Ball. It's banana. Like people, like all the aunties and uncles will practice for months for this competition.
Really?
Yes, they will practice for months, and it will consider a huge honor if you can be a part of in the competition. Like I
Mhm.
remember,
Mhm.
and I remember one of my friends who was come from the southern part of China, and she said in the previous year, her dad cannot even be on the boat. Her dad's job is passing water to all the people who watching the Dragon Ball festival. And after 5 years, finally, her dad got promoted to
He
one of
made
the
it. Did he make it on the boat?
yeah, he made it in the boat and he was so proud. And then practice every like if they can, then practice from like 5 a.m. until like 11 a.m. and then have a break and then continue practice from like 1 p.m. to like
Yeah.
7 p.m. and then do
Mhm.
it every weekend.
That
Then do
is
it every
dedication.
yeah, yes, it's dedication and the competition is a banana. The banana. And back in the old time, only men allowed to have the Dragon Ball festival and
Mhm.
competition. Like women are not allowed to be on it, and it actually considered bad luck to be like if a woman is on the Dragon Ball. So that's why
Mhm.
later on we have a Phoenix Ball for women, but still Dragon Ball is more popular. And the
Mhm.
competition
Mhm.
is much more intense. Like
Mhm.
literally every year the competition is banana.
I'm gonna have to go after we finish recording. I'm gonna have to go and look at this because hopefully there'll be some videos of it on YouTube, because I'm really, really intrigued to go and look at these these competitions now.
and and a lot so right now in modern China, a lot of people really like Dragon Ball is because usually when you roll the ball is really hot. So a lot of people, because in practice it so much, they have really nice body. And a lot of young girl was
Ah,
starting, yeah, a lot of young girl was to watching people to roll the ball as
I'm
well.
sure, yeah, I'm sure that would, convince some people to also to go and watch it for sure, for sure.
Yes.
Um,
So that's one of the tradition. The second one is 粽子. So you will eat 粽子 in during
hmm
端午 as well, which is Chinese dish. So back in ancient time, people will make 粽子 to remember the person Qu Yuan, and sometimes they will throw away the 粽子 into the river to remember her. So now it just become a food we eat. So we will make the 粽子 by using uh the lotus leaf to do it.
hmm
And we also have, so believe it or not, every year during Dragon Ball Festival, we will have this debate which flavor is the best. Like, would you
hmm
eat savory or sweet? So, and the debate is banana. It's more than you can imagine. It's like a
Really?
it's like a national level debate every year, literally since I can remember, every year there are people to fight with each other to set which flavor is the best. Because we have a savory 粽子
hmm
and
hmm
we have a sweet 粽子. And depending on
hmm
where you come from, which flavor you eat will be different, and people will fight about that to say, oh, savory is the best. No, sweet is the best.
I can't imagine. I can imagine just everybody being like arguing over these flavors. And the thing is, it's such like a personal thing. It just depends what you like. But I adore that they go, people will go to, to argue about one flavor over the other. Because if you're going to argue about something, let it be food. Because, I, that is definitely something I'm a I love to eat in general. I love food. So I'm always up for discussion about food and anything like that. I definitely always approve of that.
Yes, I like both flavor, but a lot of people are really proud to only one flavor, and because China is so big, we have it's big, like the culture is so diverse, it's so rich.
hmm
So different place will have different custom, and we have those big food debates constantly. The major one is 粽子, and the second one is 汤圆 as well. And
hmm
we also have soy milk because some people actually drink savory soy milk and some people drink sweet soy milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, in the over here, at least in the UK, we don't have, I think we have a couple of soya milk flavors. I just go for the plain. I'm just, out here plain soya milk and, and then add flavor to it.
Yeah, so from where I come from, we have savory soy milk actually, and
Mm-hmm.
which is hot, kind of like soup, and you dip the youtiao, which is fried dough, with the soy milk. So it's
Mm.
kind of like breakfast thing. And a lot of people never had it. They're shocked. Soy milk can be salt, can be savory.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it in dramas, but I haven't tried it yet. I think I, I'm hoping that one of these days it'll be something that I'll come across. Because whenever I go down to London, I go down to Chinatown, and I'm hoping it's one of those things that I'm gonna come across eventually in Chinatown, one of these days, and be able to try over there. Um, so
Just prepare yourself. Not may not be everybody's cup of tea.
okay. The thing is, I don't mind
Mhm.
because I like trying everything. And in general, I'll give everything, a shot at least once. And then if it's prepared a different way, I'll try it again. Just because I just love trying different foods. I think, you can give the exact same ingredients to two different people and they'll make, such different flavors out of them. So I will say going down people will hear, oh gosh, you get to go to London all the time. And I was like, I'm really not that excited about going to London. I'm more excited that I get to go to Chinatown and I get to like basically go to all of these little places and try all of these different things. I kid you not, whenever I come back from London, I bring back like a suitcase full of
Mm.
things from Chinatown, and it's all food related because it's stuff that it's a little bit harder for me to get a hold of. And like Chinatown is so diverse, it's so big, that you just get to eat a lot of things. So yeah, that's my favorite place to go. So you can see one of these days I will eventually go to China. And then I think when I try the food there, I will be when I come back, I don't I'll be like, oh my goodness, this is nowhere near as good as the real thing. But as of now, since that's the only comparison I've got, it's
Welcome to China. We have a lot of food.
Oh, I love it. I honestly love it. It's one of my favorite things about like um Chinese culture is just the food. And I think it's because it's such a vast, such a big country. It's so diversified, like from one place to the other. It's such different food. So ugh, I think I would happily I follow this creator, and she basically goes around China and just tries all of these different foods. And I'm like, this would be my dream. I would love to do this, to just go, travel around China, just trying out all the foods. And I think you probably could do this for a whole lifetime and maybe still not be able to try any, your whole way around it. But I would sure love to try at least. So, after the Dragon Boat Festival, it comes to Mid-Autumn Festival. So, what is, Mid-Autumn Festival?
So Mid-Autumn Festival in Chinese we call it 中秋节. It's actually one of my favorite festival when I was kids because it has a really romantic but also sad story. So originally back in ancient China, one day we have 10 sun in the sky. It's very
Hmm.
hot. So a guy whose name is called Hou Yi, and his wife is called Chang'e. And later on, the Hou Yi, who is really good at like I don't know shooting, so he shoot all the sun from the sky, only left
Hmm.
one, and tell the sun, you need to come up and come down every day on time to
Hmm.
serve yourself for all the civilians. And because he saved all the people back in ancient China. So a lot of people are really admire him. And one day, the god, one of the goddess from heaven, gave Hou Yi medicine. Originally, this is a special medicine and only one dose. So if you eat it, you will become God and you will come to the heaven. So one day, so there are so different versions. So the final version is, for some reason, Chang'e eat the dose, eat the medicine, and she become God. So her body become to float, and he float to the moon.
Hmm.
And there is a little rabbit in the mood waiting for, waiting for her. And then suddenly Chang'e just become a god and living the mood with the rabbit. And becomes Hou Yi is still human and living on the earth and cannot meet each
Mm-hmm.
others. So every year during the uh 15 days on the 8th month in Chinese calendar, people will use this day to remember Chang'e, who is living on the moon. I
Mm-hmm.
believe this story so much. I truly think there is a goddess whose name is called Chang'e with a rabbit
Mm-hmm.
on the
Mm-hmm.
moon. Until I grew up and NASA released the photo of moon, it broke my heart. There's
Yeah.
nothing on the moon. There's nothing on the moon.
Um,
Like I
I bet, because you would have believed that. And actually, you were telling that story, and I recently read a book, and it's called Daughter of the Moon Goddess,
Mhm,
and it is basically surrounded around that story. So
mhm.
I know that legend and that story mainly from that book, and I loved like reading it about it. It is like it's used in a little bit of a different way because it's based, on the daughter of the moon goddess, but they kind of go into the backstory of the moon goddess, and I loved it, loved reading about it. It is such a sad story, but it's still like such a beautiful story as well.
Yes, and I truly believe because in the story, in the legend, people think Chang'e is such a pretty goddess and she's so lonely, only
Hmm.
with the rabbits, in the moon, and the rabbit will do nothing but just making, just making moochie and making like on the moon,
Yeah, yeah,
on the moon. And I truly believe it when I was kid. I really thought every
yeah.
every every midterm festival when we're looking at the moon in the sky is so round, it's so pretty. And I
Mm,
always thought there is a goddess with a rabbit living in the moon until NASA said no,
no, no
Chang'e does
rabbit.
not, the Chang'e does not appear. It's the moment. It's like the moment I realized that Santa Claus is not real for me. It's like Chinese version. Santa Claus is not real.
Ah, oh goodness. I feel like that's like, see, when you put it like that, it's such, for anybody listening, I feel like they will feel that pain of, just realizing that something that you've believed in for the longest time isn't quite what it seems. So yeah. Is that like something that parents still tell kids nowadays in China?
Yes, I believe so because
Mm-hmm.
I just had a nep I just have a nephew who is only like
Mm-hmm.
6 years old, and all the Chinese book my cousin bought for him is for it's we have so many stories. So when he is
Mm.
learning the Chinese pinyin, there will be different story, and then a lot of them is like festival because Chinese legend festival is kind of like really interesting. Like we have goddess, we have heaven, we have Sun Wukong, you have all the different not real things, and it's really interesting. And if you are kids and you read those type of book a lot, you truly won't believe it until you grow up, until you
Yeah,
realize,
yeah,
okay, none of them are true.
yeah.
Yes.
I I will say that's one of the things that I also love about Chinese dramas specifically is like whenever there is fantasy Chinese dramas because I feel like it's such a whole new world to me. The very first drama that I watched was, I don't know if you'll know it, but it's called Ashes of Love,
Oh.
and it's the very, very first Chinese drama I ever watched, first Asian drama I ever watched. And I was just flicking through Netflix and they suggested I start this drama. Now, I had never heard about anything about Chinese culture, Chinese, fantasy, myths, whatever. I had never heard anything about it. And I click play on the first episode and like I was on holiday. I had nothing to do. I was home in the UK. It is miserable. It rains, it's cold, it's gloomy. So I was just home. Everybody else was at work. And I sat and watched all of the episodes in like 3 days. And I had never binged a show so fast. And I think it's because I was fascinated by it. Because it's like it was unlike anything I had ever seen in the West. Um, so whenever there's like anything like that, I feel like you have such like in China, there's such a vast um history and mythology and whatnot to pull from that it makes something so beautiful. So yeah.
Yes, Chinese methodology and fantasy, I love it. If
Mm,
you grew up watching it, and you you can like when I grew up, I watch a lot of those C drama and book as well.
hmm
So I
hmm
really love the methodology as well, and I really believe in all those things because when I was kids, a lot of people was said because I'm a rooster, so by Chinese zodiacs, I'm a rooster. And when I was
hmm
kids, like my grandmother always tell me, rooster is like descendant of Feng Huang, which is phoenix, and I truly believe it when I was kid.
Really? See,
Yes.
but you obviously like if you especially if your elders are telling you something, you're gonna believe it. Like as a kid, you have no reason not to believe it.
Yes, and back in the time, my grandmother's is really into Buddhism, and we will,
hmm
you know, go to temples, and we will visit, to pay tribute to all the gods. So if
hmm
you practice it since really young, you truly believe there is Chinese God. Like we have fortune God, we have water God, we have fire God, we have kitchen God, like
hmm
all the gods.
Um, yeah, but I love learning all about it. I think it's such a fun thing to see. So yeah. So next up, and I'm probably going to butcher this, so correct me if I'm wrong. We have uh
Cici.
Shi Festival.
Yes, so in Chinese we call it Qixi Festival. I think this is one of the most popular Chinese Valentine's Days,
Mhm.
um, because it have a really tragic story in it. So it will happen on the seventh days of the seventh month in Chinese calendar,
hmm
and it we have a background story for that, which is called 牛郎织女, which means you have a cowboy who meet a goddess then fall in love. But the the like high goddess mother forbidden it, so
hmm
she took the goddess back away to the heaven, and the cowboy is bringing their child to, follow her. But the high goddess mother used magic or power to create this big galaxy river between
hmm
them, and they can only meet once per year. So it's kind of sad, but it's also
It is.
one of the romantic stories. So back in the
hmm
time, in ancient China, many young ladies or young boys will use this opportunity, like this festival, to show love to
hmm
each other. Like if you two connect each other on this day, you are done. You will get married very, very soon. So this is the day. If you connect with each other, you are done.
That's it. You're fated. That is it.
Because this is the good opportunity to
Mm.
meet with each other. And back in the like Tang Dynasty or ancient China, we have so many point which involve with this festival. So it's romantic, it's sad, but it's also romantic.
Yeah. I think whenever we think of romance, it's not always, flowers and happiness. So I think there's always a little bit of tragic that comes with it, and I'm okay with that. I am. So I that is, that is beautiful.
And yeah, and I like Cici as well because I actually got proposed on Cici, which is Chinese Valentine. So I really
Did
like it.
you?
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
bet. Oh, see, that is very romantic.
Yeah, because Qixi, yeah, because in Chinese calendar, Qixi will always land in summer. So the the weather is nice, time is nice. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the perfect date to
Mm-hmm.
date today. So I love Qixi.
I bet. Because see, that just seems to be it works out perfectly at that time. So yeah, that's really, really nice. Really, really nice.
Yes.
Um,
And also in C
so,
drama,
mm-hmm.
in C drama, I cannot remember which one is exactly, but I think in most historical C drama, you if there's a thing about cheese festival, it will always be romantic because then we'll have this like celebration for the day, for night, and it's summer,
Mm-hmm.
it's really beautiful summer, and the main character is gonna, meet each other under the river, they're gonna enjoy the summer weather and then show their love to each other. It's
Mm-hmm.
always a
Mm-hmm.
romantic moment.
I love that. I just love it. I love how like the festivals just lead to such beautiful scenes for us to watch. But in general, even in like in real life, I feel like there's this romance and this actually to all of the festivals. I feel like there's this beautiful romance to all of them. Even if we're celebrating something a little bit sad, I feel like there's always a little bit of beauty in it as well. And I think that's so nice because like I said, it's so different to anything in the West. That I'm glad that we get to talk about it here. So, after that, we have 24 terms.
Yes, so 24 term is a part of Chinese calendar. Um,
Mhm.
because my grandparents influencers and followed by Chinese calendars to live, I was introduced at the 24 term at really young age. So basically 24 term back in ancient China is a tool or like a way to help the farmers to track time. So they will know when to plant it, when to harvest. So it will make
Mhm.
the farming really productive and the efficiency. And we also have a couple holidays like festival come from 24 terms as well because back in ancient China, two of the most popular festival, one is called Dongzhi, one is called Qingming, then both
Mhm.
come from the 24 term. And so we can start with Qingming. So Qingming is actually one of
Mhm.
the uh, m most significant and four big holiday in China, which is the day that you will remember your ancestor, which is the day we
Okay.
commemorate the death.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so so basically, during that day, you will go visit your ancestors' grave to clean their um graveyard to bring them maybe money, something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and it's the way to make connection to the death. I think
Mhm.
Mexico have a similar thing like that, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
make it more like festival than like there's music, there's like
Mhm.
more
Mhm.
festival. But Qingming in China is more like also a sadness day because that's the day you will need to visit your ancestors like graveyard to give
Mhm.
them to burn the money to for them to sit
Mhm.
something like that.
I'm guessing it's I think we've seen these happen. And one of the classic would it be like when you burn the incense and you sort of bow and pay homage to people who have moved on and you kind of, just pay your respects in a sense.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Qingming is the way that we will remember our ancestor back in the time.
Hmm.
And so Qingming, Chinese New Year, Duanwu, the Dragon Ball Festival, and the Mid-Autumn Festival were considered the four traditional Chinese festival in China. Like those four, it have really huge
Hmm.
impact in Chinese culture. And I think as long as I can remember, I've been celebrate those four is like the mass holiday to
Mm-hmm.
celebrate. We have so
Mm-hmm.
many, but those four are like the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
because it line up with the 24 terms, and for some reason, I don't know how they did it, but literally back in ancient China, the way the ancient Chinese people calculate it will guarantee like not 100%, but a huge possibility on the Qingming festival there will be rain. It look like the god is like,
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know how to calculate it, but basically by the way they calculate it, most of the time, I won't say 100%, but like 8 or 9 of the time on Qingming
It'll
festival,
rain.
there will rain in China.
It's
Maybe not the
like,
whole China wide, but
yeah,
most,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but a lot part will be rain. It's like the heaven is like whipping. It's
Yep, yep.
fascinating, and I did not notice it when I was young, but because when I was kid, I hate Qingming Festival because that day always is gloomy. It's like if it's not raining, it's like no sun. It's like about to
Mm,
rain.
mm.
So I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
like
yeah.
Qingming Festival a lot. I always ask my grandmother why Qingming Festival is always either raining or about to rain. It's like a
It's
glooming,
gloomy.
yeah, it's glooming. And my
Yeah.
grandmother told me it's because but it's because how the ways in calculating what a 24 term especially make the Qingming festival will landed in the time which will have higher possibility to rain in
For
China.
rain. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
did not know
That
that when
is that
when
is
until I
so
grew up.
clever. That is
Yeah.
so clever. Because I feel like that type of weather goes with the type of festival that it is and what it's supposed to represent. So that is crazy, that they've managed to all of these like so long ago, they managed to calculate it in a way that it kind of works out.
Yeah, and back in ancient China, Qingming is like a term which is you means that the spring is happening, the spring is coming, and the spring is blooming. So if you're rain on Qingming, which also indicate that you will have a good year because the crop will have enough waters and will rise,
Mm-hmm,
so it can
mm-hmm.
grow up. So raining on Qingming is actually a good sign as well.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can see that. So yeah, and then we have the other one, Dongzi.
Yeah, Dongzhi Festival. So this festival is also a part of a 24 term. It literally means winter is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did not know this festival until I saw a really old Chinese drama, which is called Feng Shen Bang, God of
Mm-hmm.
Honors. And it has to be the old version, the 2001 version, because in that C drama, there's a scene that a couple, they are like slaughter pig and chicken, like the husband go
Mm-hmm.
outside to hunt, and he like hunt a lot of animals and bring back to home, and the wife slaughter all the animals and make a big meal because they are celebrating
Mm-hmm.
Dongzhi because it's the day that you're supposed to pick out. You need to fatten yourself so you're prepared for winter. And
Oh, see, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, so we have this saying in Chinese, you have to eat meat in Dongzhi
Mm-hmm.
because you are ready is you so to make sure that your body is prepared for the winter, that you will
Mm-hmm.
have enough like fat to survive the harsh winter. And
Mm-hmm.
that is one of my favorite festival because on that day we will literally pick out in my family. Like we will have
I love
all
that.
I will have all sorts of the meat, and you will also have because I'm from the northern part of China, we also have
Mm-hmm.
饺子. If you're from northern part of China, you will have dumpling 饺子 in every festival. Like literally every festival.
Will be dumpling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will have a dumpling. And in the southern part of China, it's 汤圆 for them. So this is a
Mm-hmm.
way how you can tell where you come from. It's what you're gonna eat in every festival.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So in the northern part, it's usually 饺子. And in the southern
Mm-hmm.
part, some of them will eat 汤圆, some of them will eat rice cake. In Chinese, we call it 年糕.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and And I remember a lot. Like I always ask my grandmother, like, why we always have 饺子 all the time? And then my grandmother always say, well, because it's festival time. We have to have 饺子.
We have to have it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, 饺子 also means like 团圆, which means the family gathering together. So everybody's
hmm
gathering together. We're gonna have it, and you have to have 饺子.
Mm. I feel like this is the festival. I mean, I would love to see all of them, but
Hmm.
this festival sounds right up my alley because you just, like you were saying, you just get to eat and prepare for winter. That's my kind of preparation for winter.
Yes, and it's it sounds funny, but until today, like my grandma still tell me, like, I know you are in a diet, but you have to eat meat today.
hmm
Like, you need to eat meat today. And the official term for Dongzhi is called winter solstice, I think, because it's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
shortest. It is the shortest date,
hmm
in the winter. Um, and I don't know why the ancient Chinese, our ancestors think you have to eat meat, but that's some tradition that we passing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also 冬至 in Chinese culture, we have a term which is called 数九, which means
hmm
since so starting from 冬至 festival, you just count nine. So 9 days for you just count nine for 9 days, like 81 days. After 81
hmm
days, the winter is past.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay,
we have
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So we will have like every 9 day is one union, and you will have
hmm
9 unions per winter, starting from 冬至. That's how
hmm
ancient Chinese will remember that the winter is almost finished. Because back in the time they don't have calendar. Then
Yeah,
just use
exactly.
yeah, then use this to count it. And after you finish the 9 unions of 9 days, you will know that winter is
hmm
over, spring is coming.
Mm. I love this. See, this is one of the things that I think is I really, really enjoy is that in Chinese culture, there seems to have been a lot of tradition that has been like completely passed down. And although it might have been adapted for, modern times, you can almost see, like, where everything's sort of coming from. And there's a lot of tradition that has stayed. And I really, really like that. I really do.
Oh, yeah, I'm so glad to show all those Chinese culture to you guys because Chinese culture is fascinating, it's amazing. I'm so glad more people are interested in the Chinese culture because of C-drama and willingly come to China. And we welcome everybody who want to come to China and to
Mm.
enjoy the Chinese culture and food.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've seen is that like people who do travel there, it's like my partner and I are planning to go, but we want to do it in a way where we can have like a long period of time and not just, not just go for 2 weeks, but maybe go for like a month and see a couple of things, see a couple of places. And it is fascinating because there's so much to see. There's so much culture to experience. And I adore it. I think I will freak out when I actually see everything that I've been seeing for a really long time on my TV and it's not on my TV anymore. It's like right there in front of me. I think it'll be, something out of this world for me to see. So it is on my it's on my bucket list is to visit China. Absolutely.
Well, we're really welcome you to come and looking forward to it.
Um, Cece, thank you so much for this. I think people will really, really love this episode. But just before we sign out, so we've talked about gods of honors, and we mentioned love like the galaxy, but you have a Donghua down here that I thought would be good to sort of just mention.
Oh yes. So I think it's starting on the 2022. I'm not sure if there's any resource on the Western upside yet. So we have a
Mm,
动画which is called 历史. It's not a C drama, it's 动画, and it's mainly about Chinese festival. So it's talking about a guy who have a book, which the book is about Chinese festival, and one day all those books just come alive. Like each festival become a
Mm-hmm.
person, and they're gonna interact with each other and tell you how they're gonna celebrate and how them form. I think it will be really interesting if anybody want to know more about Chinese festival. So now in China, you can watch it on the website Bilibili, but I don't think
Yeah.
there's any uh website yet since it's quite I think it's there on iQIYI as well.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'll have to have
yeah.
a little look because we can get access to Bilibili here. It'll just
Uh
depend whether it has subtitles or not.
So I think they have an English name. The English name is called the Ala Monk Monster, I think. So it's spelled
Hmm.
like ALMANAC Master. I will put it
Okay.
in here so maybe you can Google it. I'm not sure if
Yeah, yeah,
anybody
yeah, yeah.
who do it, but it's really interesting. So basically, this guy has the book of festival and so gonna basically kill all the bad guys or all the bad gods with the book of
Hmm.
festival. And it's really interesting because all the festival look really like I would be surprised how they exactly look in person. It's actually
Hmm.
really like close to what they represented.
Hmm.
And
Uh,
yeah, I just thought if anybody want to know more about it, I highly suggest this one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I will definitely, if you leave the link in the document, I will link it in the description notes, and then we can sort of try and find it. And hopefully between, me and listeners, we'll be able to find it and watch it because that sounds really, really interesting um to watch. So, yeah, I think that is everything. Cece, thank you so much for coming on today. I have learned a lot. Thank you so much for sharing your culture with us. Because I think we watch a lot of it, but I think it's even better when we can understand it more. So I thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, I'm so happy to come in here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So that is it, guys. That is the episode for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And if you've got any questions, let me know. And we shall see you next time. Bye.
Bye.